Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again for the last time. We're glad you were able to solve the clue and get the pictures of the location up. Let's cut to the chase and pick up right where we left off. If you need a refresher on where we left off, just click the annotation and that'll lead you to our last episode where you can listen to the last few minutes to refresh your memory. One day in August, Alexandra invites some of her friends over for tea and puts Scout in a dress to help her and Calpurnia out while her friends are present. Her friends also happen to be in her missionary circle, and Scout listens to their discussion of converting those black folk who weren't Christian into Christianity. They also end up discussing how their black servants were behaving badly since Tom Robinson's trial. Miss Maudie interrupts the women, telling them off for speaking ill of those in mourning of a lost friend. Shortly after some further banter, Atticus calls the family into the kitchen and bears the news that Tom has attempted to escape from prison and was shot 17 times. Atticus leaves Calpurnia to tell the news to Tom's family. Fast forward to September. School starts up again and Jem and Scout begin passing by the Radley house each day. They've gotten to the point that they are too old to be scared of this house, but rather are more curious and intrigued, wishing to see Boo just once. One day in school, Scout's third grade teacher, Miss Gates, lectures the class on the wickedness of Hitler's persecution of the Jews and on the virtues of equality and democracy. Scout listens and later asks Jem how Miss Gates can preach about equality when she came out of the courthouse after the trial and told Miss Stephanie Crawford that it was about time someone taught the blacks in town a lesson. Jem becomes furious and tells Scout never to mention the trial to him again. Jem was severely impacted by the results of the trial and how everything had gone down with Tom's death. His belief in people and the justice system was truly shaken. By the time mid-October comes around, Bob Ewell truly goes off his rocker. He gets a job and loses it within a few days. He's invited to the judge's house and begins following Tom Robinson's wife to work, whispering obscenities at her. Halloween rolls around, and there was a small party happening for the kids of the neighborhood at the school. Jem takes Scout over to the school since both Atticus and Alexandra were too tired. They attend the festivities, and when everything is over, they begin heading home. On their way back, Jem seems to hear noises coming from behind them. They think it must be one of the kids trying to frighten them. They almost reach the road which they live, but then someone begins to run after them. The children run and then fall. Scout has fallen and hears struggling behind her. It was Jem. Jem then breaks free from the attacker and drags Scout almost all the way to the road before their assailant pulls him back. Scout hears a crunching sound and Jem screams. She runs towards him and is grabbed and squeezed. Suddenly, her attacker is pulled away. Once the noise of struggling has ceased, Scout feels on the ground for Jem, finding only the prone figure of an unshaven man smelling of whiskey. She stumbles towards home and sees, in the light of the street lamp, a man carrying Jem towards the house. They reach their home and call a doctor and the sheriff to tell him that someone had attacked their children. Jem falls unconscious, but the doctor advises Scout that he just has a broken arm and will be fine within a few weeks. The man who carried Jem home is also in the room, but Scout does not recognize who he was. After a few moments of pondering as to who this man must be, the sheriff comes back into the room to inform the children that their attacker was none other than Bob Ewell, but that he was lying under a tree, dead with a knife in his ribs. Scout explains what had happened, and when she gets to the point of the shadowy figure carrying Jem home, she realizes that this pale, frail man must be none other than Boo Radley. The sheriff explains that Bob Ewell must have accidentally stabbed himself while drunk, potentially falling onto his own knife. He insists on calling the death an accident, but Atticus, thinking that Jem killed Bob Ewell, doesn't want his son protected from the law. The sheriff corrects him. He knows that Boo was the one who stabbed Ewell, and the sheriff wants to hush up the whole affair, saying that Boo doesn't need the attention of the neighborhood brought to his door. Scout takes Boo upstairs to say goodnight to Jem, and then walks Boo home. He goes inside his house, and she never sees him again. However, even for just a moment, she imagined the world from his perspective. Thank you for listening, and congrats on getting through all the clues and episodes. We hope that you enjoyed this brief overview of the classic To Kill a Mockingbird and have a simpler but more of an understanding of the novel.